Hello everybody, welcome into my latest live broadcast. Today is Monday, the 3rd of February, 2020. My name is Kerry Holzman, and today, it's another computer build. What a shock. This is a continuation of a build I've already started. This is going to an American veteran. His name is Valentine, and I have mostly the motherboard, the heart of the machine is all put together already. We did that in a previous video, which is the motherboard, CPU, cooler, and RAM, and solid state drive. And then what I have to do today is add an optical drive, a Wi-Fi card, and a GPU. Make sure Windows 10 is optimized, configured, activated. Throw some Malwarebytes Pro on, Malwarebytes paid on there, put an annual license on there. And then I just have to do the cable management, which I'll probably do off camera tonight, and hopefully I can get it shipped out to Valentine and start another new build tomorrow or Wednesday, and I have 2 more builds after that. And then I hope to get back to finishing up both the Xenos build as well as the 3950X build back over there. The Xenos build and the 3950 are personal, so those take a back seat to any customer work. Customers always come first. So I appreciate your patience during that time, and once the builds are completed live, they will then be edited by my sister and compiled into one final video. And of course, all the contributors who helped make the Xenos build possible will all get, we'll make sure we put it in the final credits and in the video notes. We want to make sure all those people who contributed for parts a couple of years ago all get the credit they well deserve. Barring that, if anybody has changed their mind and they want their contribution returned to them. I had one particular person be pretty nasty in the comment section. Everybody's been very supportive, but because of this one person now, if there's anybody else, please don't go out there trying to publicly shame me. If you have an issue, talk to me privately, and I'm sure we'll get it resolved rather than fighting and being nasty. That's just pointless. It's much easier for me to say, you know, take your $5 back or whatever, than to deal with unnecessary nastiness in a public forum. So those people end up getting themselves banned, and it just makes it harder for them to communicate with me. So if you have an issue with me, please take it up privately. Try not to go public and try and gather people up on your side. It's not going to happen here. And I just don't expect that from a supporter, but just, again, in full disclosure, so you guys know there's other stuff going on this side of the camera. And just because you're not seeing it or I don't talk about it doesn't mean it's not happening. And so once in a while I do like to open up the doors a little wider and let you in to see some of the nastiness I have to deal with. But be that as it may, I believe my mission is far more important with regards to educating people and sharing my experience with them. And for those of you who value it, it's lovely to have you here. And for those of you who don't, please just leave or get yourself banned if you want to try and publicly humiliate me on my own channel. That's kind of messed up. But, you know, you can always start your own channel and say whatever you want about me. Nothing I can do about that. So, food for thought. In the meantime, try and keep it positive today. I've got some contacts in my eyes today. I've never worn them before, and they're not comfortable. So we'll see how this goes. If I'm blinking my eyes a lot, that's probably why. So again, we're here with Valentine. Has been waiting patiently for his machine, and this graphics card we're giving to Valentine is a 980 Ti. Now this was sent in from a viewer. His name is John Yasuda. You'll see John, hold on, let me make a little adjustment. You'll see John in the chat room from time to time, and we built a system for John, and he sent in a machine that was just toast and said I could part it out, and so I have. And this is one of the last remaining parts. I also spoke with John Xenos. He did see the video, and everything's working exactly like it's supposed to. That's all good. Some people have written in and said this logo can be rotated, though I don't know how. I'll have to look at the manual. This is supposed to rotate, apparently, in 12 different positions, but it doesn't push in or pull out. So I don't know if you got to get a screwdriver and take something apart for that, but the NZXT logo is upside down, and that's the way it'll stay. We will definitely have the pipes coming out that side on this build, but more on that when it'll get its own video to continue that. In the meantime, welcome in, everybody. I see we've got about 400 people joining us live, and always good to see my friends in blue and new faces, well, names, in the chat are always welcome. Just don't be a jerk, man. It's funny. You would think that telling people don't be a jerk would be like asking them to lift up a car. Like it's such a challenge for them, they just can't. They can't do it. So for that, we'll ban. Ryan Grady has contributed $2. He says, "Finally catching you live." Thank you, Ryan. Ryan's the one that sent in the motherboard and some other parts there from Nevada, if I'm correct. Is that right, Ryan? Is that the same Ryan? I think so. Zero Core says, "I'm confused. When did I lose my mod status?" You were going a little bit crazy there, Zero Core. You were banning people left and right. People that just said things I guess you didn't like. That's not cool for my mods to just be power abusive like that. So I have temporarily removed your mod status because unless somebody's being vulgar or somebody's like, "Hey, come watch me live," trying to take people out of the channel, people can disagree with me in the chat. People can say, they can have opposing views. That's fine. It's not so, and I tell this to all my mods. I'm trusting you to not cause damage to my channel. And the result of you being over active with your power has probably cost me quite a few viewers that didn't do anything wrong. So for right now, I'm temporarily taking it away. You can earn it back. Just be polite and supportive. When somebody says something that you don't like, just ignore it. If somebody says something you think should be banned, you need to bring it to my attention if you're a mod. I'm asking my mods, and I don't know how many times I have to keep saying it, only if somebody is being vulgar, you can ban them, or if they're saying, "Hey, come watch me on my channel," you can ban them. Other than that, just bring it to my attention. Don't hide their comments, don't ban them, don't do anything, if you want to protect your mod status. So I had a number of complaints from numerous viewers, not just one, because honestly I was so busy I didn't have time to pay attention. I'm trusting my mods. And multiple people said, "You got to watch this Zero Core guy. He was just banning people left and right. He was out of control." And I played it back and I started watching it. And I said, "Yeah, that's not just somebody out to get you. They have a legitimate issue there," and it got by me. So look, let's learn from it, move on. And I know your intentions were in the right place, but your intentions were causing me harm. So again, you can earn it back. Don't freak out. I'd like nothing more to put you back blue again. We're just going to take a little time out for a little while. A couple contributions have come in, so let me give a couple shots out here to these generous folks. We've got a contribution from Bo Hagren, contributed 50 Danish krona. He says, "Here's to Monday's Coke. Looking forward to a great show, like always." Hey, thank you so much. And I see another contribution has come in from Paul. "I miss the 80s. $20. He goes, "Here's a little something towards the pizza fund." I miss the 80s too, Paul. Chester Hughes has contributed $2, and Jesse Kirk has contributed $5. He says, "You're the best. Keep up all the great work." And another $20 contribution, $20 Canadian, from Stephen Spencer, says, "Have a good day." Irving T, joining us from France, has contributed €2. And Art Awesome has contributed $15. He says, "Hello, one and all." And of course, hello to all my friends in blue. I see Patrick Rousseau in there, and Steve Caruso, Randall Hill, William Dawson, Paul 1961, Tony Wallow, Mats Olav Rickardson, OG Gaming, Edwin Ojeda, Tim D, Bradley Morris, ANSPC Repair, Luke Greenia, Sharon Idle, Daniel Skinner, Dave Stetzel. And of course, I did mention David sent in a nice contribution last week, or has it been almost 2 weeks now? And I want to make sure I give him a shout out because I have not sat down to reply to emails in like 2 weeks. They're building up. I need to sit down for like an hour or 2 hours at this point and start responding to people. So if you've not heard from me, I apologize. I'm just starting to biting off more than I can chew, but I appreciate all your contributions and support. and I do intend to get back to you. Better late than never. Geo Johnson has contributed $5. He says, wow, I caught another live stream. Hey, right on. Nighthawk contributed $5 and says, have a case of Coke on me. And Jason Baum has contributed $4.99. It says there were great quick tips today. Right on. That's all my sister doing those quick tips. ANS PC Repairs contributed 99 cents. I think that got everybody. Again, thank you all so much for supporting the channel. Peter Brooks joins us. Hey, Peter. Always good to see Peter Brooks. Poco, Darren Cluth, Rainer, Peter, Chunkier Fish. Dave Stetzel says all good. Hey, thanks, Dave. I appreciate your understanding. And, you know, I try to make it a priority. I do. You know, what can I tell you? One-man band, so doing what I can. Thank you for understanding. So, Valentine's computer, where we're at with it, like I said, we've got the EVGA 550 watt power supply with the H370 HD3 motherboard. It's a $100 motherboard. It's a bargain. The 9700K processor with the Scythe Mugen 5 cooler. And for storage on this, we put on a, I can't remember what we put in there. I believe we've got 32 gigs of RAM, Corsair Vengeance. Oh, I have a note. Yeah, I think that's an Intel 2 terabyte 660p. It is 32 gigs of RAM. Basically, this is about $1,000 all day long, and this is a computer that will easily last you 8 to 10 years. And the reason I can say that, you know, remember when I started this business, the joke was by the time you get the computer home, it'll already be obsolete. That's not the case anymore. In many instances, parts go up in value. We've seen RAM go up in value in the past. We've seen solid-state drives currently up in value for some reason, especially that 970 Evo Plus drive is about $100 over the manufacturer's suggested retail price. The 9900KS is another chip that continues to go up in value. It started at about $629. Right now, it's about $1,000 on Amazon. So this whole idea, this whole concept that immediately what you buy becomes depreciated and obsolete quickly, it just isn't the case anymore with computers. Technology today has sort of plateaued in a way. They're just going to be adding more and more cores. They can't seem to get us beyond 5 gigahertz, and even that seems to be a bit of a struggle on all the cores. And so what the manufacturers are doing is whatever they can to try and innovate new product, which at this point is, well, since we can't seem to break this 5 gigahertz barrier reliably without excessive amounts of power and heat, we'll just give them more cores. And right now, there's not many applications that utilize more cores. But it sort of becomes a chicken and egg situation. We waited a long time for 64-bit. We were on 32-bit for a long time. When pressed, Intel was asked, when are you going to come out with a 64-bit operating system? And Intel said, when there's 64-bit software to justify it. When Microsoft was asked, when are you going to come out with a 64-bit operating system? Intel was asked about a 64-bit processor. Microsoft then said the same thing. Well, when there's a 64-bit processor that can use it, we'll consider writing software for it. So somebody has to go first. There's kind of a chicken and egg situation there. Unfortunately, we've got way more cores now than most people ever use, and they're just going to keep adding to that exponentially to increase the concept that you're getting more value. There are people who benefit from more cores. You are probably not one of them. It's highly unlikely you will see any benefit going from, say, 6 cores to 12 or 12 to 24 or 24 to 64 or 128. I suppose it's bragging rights, but the practicality of it at this time is very niche for very select individuals doing something extraordinary with their computer. The vast majority of us absolutely won't benefit from it. However, I will demonstrate that going from a Ryzen 2700X to a Ryzen 3900X on the streaming computer, and I will render a 31-minute job. It's 31 minutes to render this project I've got in there on the current setup. And just changing the processor and changing nothing else, we will re-render the project. Place your bets. Do you think it'll be 31 minutes, 28 minutes, 23 minutes? How much difference do you think going from a Ryzen 2700X to a Ryzen 3900X is going to make in real life, in real work, editing it's an hour and a half video? I don't think it's going to see any improvement, and if it is, it's certainly not worth $500. But I am projecting that, I'm prophetizing that, I don't know. But I have a gut feeling. I have a gut feeling it's really not going to make any difference at all. Now, changing the editing software could affect that, but I'm using Cyberlink Power Director. I've already upgraded the solid state drive to NVMe. The Samsung 970 EVO Plus is in the streamer, and I doubled the memory and turned XMP on. Then I ran the test. I didn't run the test before I did all that. So I don't know how much difference that made, but moving forward, we'll start measuring it. And I can always pop a couple of sticks of RAM out, right? Instead of having 4 sticks, I can pop out 2 of them. I can turn XMP off, and we can run the render again with XMP and without it, just for me to demonstrate to you how much of a difference it really doesn't make in most applications. People want to hear what people want to hear. That much I'm convinced of. When you tell somebody something that goes against what they want to hear, they can often get pretty nasty. I'm sorry, but I will stand up with evidence and proof in these applications and in the world in which I've made a living for nearly 30 years to stand here and tell you without a doubt that it is fact, and I'm sorry if those facts hurt your feelings. That being said, it doesn't really matter to me what you want to believe, but I want to make sure the rest of you aren't being misinformed by people who believe more in the feelings that it brings them than in the actual reality of benefit price for performance ratio that they choose to blindly ignore that because it doesn't. There's some people that are going to say I'm going to like this because they've sort of dug themselves in and they feel like they don't have a choice now but to stick to their guns. Like, I'm already here, but you're going the wrong way. I don't care. I'm going that way. I'm already going that way. And it's a very human condition, and I think it takes someone special, someone a little bit more evolved to step outside of themselves and go, maybe I should stop and reconsider my direction and be a little more open-minded. But that's something they have to choose to do for themselves. And if they choose not to, whatever makes them happy, man, whatever makes them happy. I just hate to see it harming other innocent people as the misinformation based on feelings and not facts continues to propagate around the internet. So I'm going to do my part here to demonstrate with video, so it's not just my voice, it's not just my opinions or my feelings, but basing it on real applications, real world scenarios. And then we can determine then, very logically, the price to performance differences and what is a placebo and what is practical. Some may not discount the placebo effect, like, if it makes them happy, what difference does it make? But in business, it's all about ROI, or returns on investment. When you're there to sell a client a new machine, you've got to be able to be accurate in explaining to the client what they can expect as far as productivity goes. If a customer of mine has a machine that's several years old and it's quite slow, and I tell them, it's time to upgrade, the first question they're going to ask is why? And apart from security concerns, there's productivity. And it means that your employees can get more done in a day. Like, I can't make the employee work, but I can make sure the employee's not sitting around waiting on the computer as their excuse not to. And of course, it adds to reliability, which again is more productive when a computer is working. Obviously, you're paying the employee regardless in most cases. So, in fact, none of the clients I have are paying their employees based on commission. If they were, I suspect there'd be an even higher demand for faster computers. So keep that in mind as well, and hopefully I'm bringing a different perspective to the technology, to the builds, than what you're accustomed to hearing from most hobbyist and enthusiast channels, which tend to be a bit myopic in the way that they present things. There doesn't tend to be this, and I wish there was, sort of a full disclosure, sort of a, like a warning or a disclaimer that says this is for entertainment purposes only and doesn't necessarily establish any value or make any sense in practicality. This is something to do for fun that doesn't necessarily offer any return on investment financially. Now that being said, because they don't do that, I have to tell you. I feel like I have to tell you that, so that you can, get from that what they're truly offering. And then of course, if you're looking for fun, like you're just looking for something to do, obviously I bring a little bit of that. You can also be practical and have fun. They don't have to be mutually exclusive, and it doesn't have to be ridiculous, over the top nonsense for the sake of burning time. So I would really like to see more people in the industry. The United States anyway is hurting for techs. There's a lot of places looking for work and looking for employees to work in tech, and they just can't find the employees to do it. So the industry is, this is another one of those things that's misinformation, that tech is dying. It's not dying. And furthermore, there are techs who just work out of their home that were servicing a lot of home users, and then that work there's not as much of that work anymore. A lot of home users have gone to tablets or just stick with their phones. And as I mentioned in another broadcast, if you specialize in something, that makes you worth more. So if you specialize in Dentrix software for dentists, you can make a lot more money. There's not many Dentrix certified technicians out there, certainly not in my area. I don't know of a single one. And that can result in you selling the computers to the dentist, configuring the software, the server, doing all the work, and making a lot more money than anything you could ever make on Craigslist or OfferUp or Facebook Marketplace. That's scraping the bottom of the barrel. Like, if that's as low as your aim is, it's no wonder why you don't like your job or you think it's going nowhere. So a lot of that has to do with the individual and how ambitious they are, and they have to choose their own value. When you're working as a technician, if you want to choose a career field in IT that is rife with money, you're going to make more money. So we're talking about healthcare, we're talking about finance, any of that, law, anything in the law trade, gambling, legal gambling, and things of that nature. There's lots and lots of money those techs make. Even though those techs may not be as smart as you are, they're not putting ads on Craigslist for $20 an hour, trying to undercut the next guy who's at $22 an hour. You know what I'm saying? That race to the bottom. I am strongly suggesting, if you want to do this for a living, that is the wrong avenue to take. The attitude of, well, I'll just take any work because I need the work. Yeah, it's not sustainable. So best that you start aiming higher and accepting less. Anything less than, what you're truly worth. But that being said, let me get some work done. Contribution from Brendan Looney came in, £2. Thank you, Brendan. Ryan wants to know whatever happened to Eugene Mingo. So Eugene contacted me on Facebook. He's an ex-NFL kicker. I believe he was a kicker in the 60s. Eugene's in his 80s now, and he's a super, super nice guy. And we talked about the possibility of building a computer together, but I would have to come out to him. So Phoenix to Denver, it's a full day's drive to get out there. And I'd have to rent a hotel and then basically invite him over to the hotel, and we would set up a table and do a build together and let him keep it. Unfortunately, I've been so busy, if you can't tell, I don't have time for it. I mean, it's one of those things, like if there was nothing going on, it would be, I think, a good video project. I'm not going to ask Eugene to travel, and he's taking care of his wife. Someone needs to be there to take care of her. And it's got to work out. If Eugene was closer, we'd already have done it. So unfortunately, it just has to be put off until another time. I still have the computers over at Kids at Hope. They called me the other day. They said that they're getting the notices on Windows 7. And I want to build them some computers. So I think that'll be, after I get caught up here with this work, I think Kids at Hope will be my next priority to get them taken care of, because that's a very important cause close to my heart, and I want to make sure that I, again, do what I say I'm going to do. With Eugene, it's something I'd like to do, but only if time permits. It's nothing I have to do. Mike McCurry says, I've learned so much from watching your videos. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. Rick Hubbard contributed £3. All right. And Tony Wallows contributed $1.99. You know, I have to tell you how nice it feels, honestly. The more people attack me, the more I love you guys. I have to tell you, it sometimes it gets to me. You know, sometimes these people I don't know why they do it. And I shouldn't let it get to me. I'm told I need thicker skin, but I don't know how to do that. But what helps is when you guys come out here and you're supportive and you say nice things, especially when I'm in the mood I'm in. It's the best medicine ever. So thank you very much from all of you, to all of you rather, for being not only nice to me, but nice to each other. That's so important to me. Our time here on this planet is so limited. It's going to be over before you know it. And I just hope that we have some positive memories that we can look back on. And that's all my goal is. And for anybody to take any offense to anything I'm saying, I just don't get it. I don't understand why people work so hard to try and demonize another person without giving them an opportunity to answer some questions. You know, talk to somebody privately and go, did you mean this? Or what did you mean when you said that? Because I think you'll find you're very wrong if you're trying to demonize me. There's nothing in it for me to hurt somebody. There's no gain. I would feel like absolute crap if I found out that some innocent person was hurt by me. That's certainly not my goal. If you come at me, of course, I will defend myself, but it's just so much easier when everybody gets along, and people should be able to clarify what they're assuming before reacting or acting upon it. And so I deal with a lot of that. I deal with a lot of people who don't know me. They make conclusions that are not based on facts, and then they attack. And I'm stuck. What else can I do? For the most part, I try to hide them or ban them just to get them away. But what a shame. What a shame that an opportunity to make a new friend gets shut down because they're throwing fists, and I have no choice. I have to block. There's nothing. I'm not going to stand there like a punching bag. So I hope people will come around somehow before they die and realize there's nothing to be gained in being mean or nasty or thinking negative thoughts about somebody. People create their own karma. It's not your job to instill justice in the world. You are not the judge, jury, and executioner. People will do it to themselves. You know, if you think I'm a bad guy, just keep giving me rope until I hang myself, okay? And if we all afford each other that opportunity, this whole place will be, this earth will be a lot more pleasant to live in. But, you know, I'm not living my life that way. And if you like living your life that way, you can do it somewhere else. So anyway, thank you guys. I got a little philosophical there, but it's something that really tugs on me. Wilhelm Gordon has contributed $9.99. He says, please try the new Corsair air cooler. If you're talking about the new Hyper 212, I have no interest in it. It's too big. And it's not as good as the Scythe Mugen 5. If you're talking about a different cooler, let me know, but not the new Corsair Hyper. It's a terrible, terrible design. I would much prefer the old design. Antonia Olivia's contributed €1. Thank you, Antonia. The reason is that big Corsair Hyper 212 that they recreated has proprietary fans that you can't buy. When they go out, you can't buy those. It also covers up the RAM, which means some height of RAM won't work. Also, if the RAM has RGB, it covers up the RGB. It also means that even if it will cover the tall RAM, if you have to diagnose, replace, repair, or upgrade your RAM, the cooler has to come off. That doesn't happen with the Mugen 5. It is a design. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not from Corsair, that's from Cooler Master. That's a design where I would have sat down with the engineers and said, somebody's going to get written up. Because if you don't know by now to make room for and clearance for the RAM, as well as to be able to display the RAM for RGB, you also have to make the cooler an easier install, which it looks like they've made it a little easier, but It's just not there. The cooler's just too big. So anyway, I realize, again, I'm talking about Cooler Master and not Corsair. What cooler were you talking about with Corsair? Sharon Idles contributed £1. Hey, thank you, Sharon. Yeah, Daniel's just corrected me. Yeah, I realized it, Daniel. Thank you, though. Mike Gordon has contributed $2. He says, Carrie, your tech channel is my new go-to. Right on, Mike. Thank you. Bruce says, I'd be more selective of who you give mod status to. No, I don't think I need to be more careful. Just if somebody is being abusive with their power, bring it to my attention. I think that people should be given the benefit of the doubt in every opportunity when they show support. I certainly want to support them back. Again, I think this attitude of assuming people are nasty, you need to change that. Assume most people are good. Some people make mistakes. You know, some people, looks like somebody accidentally hid somebody. You know, it happens. It was a misclick, whatever. That's different from abuse where it's just happening over and over and over again. And furthermore, you know, I'd like to see people get along. You don't have to argue or defend for me. If somebody's making nasty comments, the best thing you can do is just ignore them. If you feel like they need to be kicked out, bring it to my attention. And you don't have to be a mod to do that. And that's all I ask my mods to do. And when my mods overstep, it's brought to my attention. I correct it. It's really not a big deal. So, Darren Cluth has contributed $10. He says, Crucia SATA 1 terabyte solid state drive is on Amazon for $107. Ooh, that's expensive. Leveled off for the last few months. So much of the time we take things out of context, we need to communicate more. Agreed. Yeah, if it's a 1 terabyte SATA, you can get a 1 terabyte Intel NVMe that'll run 4 times faster than that for the same price. I don't know why you would buy anything SATA anymore. It would have to be much, much cheaper for me to even consider it. There's a link to the Corsair cooler. Is that what that is? The A500. Yeah, so we're going to run into the same problem here. This A500 is huge, and I suppose in a case with a window it looks better because it's got this little cover on it. The installation doesn't look too bad, but it is going to cover the RAM, unfortunately. And again, that means anytime you have to work on the RAM, anytime there's RGB, you can't see the RAM now because the cooler's covering it up. It's something I would never use. It's also twice as much money as a Mugen 5. And you know, when a CPU is already running cool, there's no benefit to running it cooler. In other words, let's just say that Corsair cooler will run the same CPU 5 degrees centigrade cooler. It doesn't make a difference. Like when I ran Prime 95 on the system the other day with the Mugen 5 with a 9700K, we never broke 66 degrees centigrade. So if we made that 5 degrees colder, any degrees colder, it's still going to perform exactly the same. The difference will be the cooler will cost twice as much. Our RAM will often be in the way, or we won't be able to see the RGB, or if we have to replace RAM, we'll have to take the cooler off. Imagine what a pain that would be, trying to diagnose a bad memory module, and you're popping them out one at a time. And every time you pop one out, you got to take the cooler off, and then you got to put the cooler back on before you can test it. Then the test fails, so you pop the cooler off, and you repeat this over and over and over again. It'll turn what should be, you know, a 1-hour job into a 2-day job easily with all that added work. So for me, it's very inefficient. And perhaps that's an exaggeration on the amount of time it would take, but I don't see any benefit to it. Like I can tell you all the negatives, but what am I getting? So I can spend twice as much money, have a cooler that's big and bulky and puts more weight on the side of the board, and then I have limited access to my RAM, which I can't see with RGB if it has it. And on the Pro side, it can run a little cooler maybe, but it won't benefit anything by running any cooler. It's not running hot now. So the Mugen 5 is $48 instead of $99, so it's less than half the price. It installs very, very easily, and it doesn't interfere with the RAM. I just don't understand why I would try to replace something that's working perfectly. But I do appreciate the suggestion. I'm just explaining to you why that doesn't make any sense for me to do it. We have 788 people watching live around the world. Hey, thank you. Michael Martin's contributed £2. He goes, hey, Kerry, just catching up from the start. Right on. Welcome in, Martin. Dr. No says, hey, Kerry, Michigan here. I'm a fellow Michigander. Welcome in, brother. I think I just turned into Hulk Hogan. Yeah, brother. Rudy says, Kerry, I like your videos. They're a bit different from other channels that I watch. Are you planning on doing more editing and camera angles in the future? Yes, in fact, to that end. So I've got 3 cameras now with the help of viewer contributions. And I was looking for some kind of a stabilizer. So when I did my close-up shots, they could be a little better. And I realized I have a GoPro. I think it's a Hero 5. And when I shot with it, I shot this video around Scottsdale with my cell phone on a cell phone stabilizer or a gimbal. It was kind of awkward to shoot with it. And then I was looking at, they have like a DJ Osmo or something like that, which is a little camera built into the stabilizer. But you can't, it's not good for catching audio. You know, it's good just for the video, the visual part. Then I saw one made for GoPro, and I thought, well, that's what I need for my GoPro. So I just got this the other day, again, using contributions from viewers. It's like an $89 gimbal. It's got a little tripod on it, and I can set it down. And I guess you can wire it up, and it'll actually follow me automatically, but I haven't gotten that far with it. I just unboxed it, charged it, and when I turn it on, you'll see it's going to straighten the camera out automatically and make it level. And then as I move this around, the camera stays pretty steady, right? And then here I can also turn the camera and operate it this way. Face it down, face it up, go left and right with it. The motors are very, very quiet, which is good. Some of these have loud motors and it ends up, you know, you really need to have your audio from a different source. And I can take this bottom off and put it on a selfie stick if I wanted to do like that Scottsdale video. And it's also got a little hole here for tripod mounting this way. And then obviously I would have to rotate this around. How would I do that? Go this way? No? How about this way? It doesn't keep spinning around in circles. It hits a point where it just kind of comes to a dead stop. Well, that would shoot upside down, but I can correct that in editing. So anyway, yeah, it's a pretty cool little device, and I plan on using this more for the final shots where I can get in there and really, you know what I'm saying? Like I can get in. The GoPro has a wide-angle lens on it, more so than my big cameras do, and the big cameras are physically too large to get in there. And then I also got a new light. Hold on, let me turn this off. There, I think it just died. Did I turn it off? Yeah, it's off. This new light is incredible, and I want to show that to you guys. Let me move this. Let's put this away. This new light just came in, and I haven't even taken it out of the, it's in like a storage bag, and I haven't even taken it out. But it's so big, which is pretty much what I needed. And I knew when the Amazon guy showed up, it was a big box. I was like, it's hard to judge size sometimes from photos. But if let's see if I can put this chair over here. So in this bag, is a big old light, which is what I need. Let's see if we can bring this down a bit. So I'm thinking that's going to work a lot better for me. And then it sits on a tripod. It's upside down. It's got a little tripod holder right there. And I think 2 of these ought to brighten this kitchen up pretty good. See, I haven't even so much as powered it on. You definitely don't want that on there because these lights get hot and that would be a little melty. But that's the Nuwear, I think it's 1,066 lights or something like that. So between that and the camera to get the shots in the case should be a lot easier for me. That's $180, which is really a bargain when you know what this stuff sells for, what it used to sell for 10 years ago. This would have been $1,000 10 years ago. So it's good to see the prices coming down on this, and I hope to make use of that very soon. So again, the contributions you guys send, it all goes towards the channel. I want to emphasize that. When you see me on my yacht, then, you know, it'll be scandalous. I don't think it's happening anytime soon. But that's okay. That's all right. So I'm just going to keep that back where it was for now. Yeah, that's a huge light. Okay, let's see what I got going on here. Right about there, I think. Grow some plants under that light. Yeah. Please post the link. The link for that light is going to be under production equipment wanted. You'll see the light there. And I'll be sure to add it to the, and I'll also add the gimbal as well, and the GoPro to the production equipment I use. What's up, Jimmy? Good boy. What did you think of the halftime show? Yeah, the Super Bowl was good this year. The commercial with Jason Momoa, that's pretty good. The Rick and Morty Pringles commercial. And the Snickers commercial was pretty funny too. So overall, it was a good Super Bowl. I'm a bit surprised. Oh, I'm kind of not surprised. I guess I'm feeling like, you know, treating women as sex objects, is we're supposed to not do that anymore, but that seems like that's exactly what they did during the halftime show, and everybody seemed to be okay with it. So I'm a little confused because I thought, because they don't even see the cheerleaders anymore. They used to show the cheerleaders on TV during the football games. They don't do that anymore. Apparently it objectifies women, but Shakira and J-Lo certainly didn't seem to mind being objectified at all. It seemed to be the main part of what they did. Although they're both very good singers, they would have sang just as well in a full-length gown. So I don't know. I just thought it was, I thought we weren't doing that anymore. I thought as a society we agreed. I don't know. I'm not complaining. I'm just like, That's interesting. Really? Is that what you were thinking, Carrie? You're just like, that's interesting. Yeah, that's exactly what I was doing. Was a good game. David Kelly Parrott has contributed $10 Canadian. Hey, thank you, David. Scott says you've got almost enough equipment to make a movie with the lights and the cameras. I just need camera operators and a script. Wasn't expecting the Chiefs to come out. Yeah, neither was I. But, you know, they were hungrier. And I'll tell you what, the Giants just got a little overconfident. And they just acted like they'd already won and got taken from them because they just, I mean, the last 5 plays, I think, from Kansas, well, not the last 5, but there when they were still behind, he threw the ball 5 times. It was caught 5 times. Mahomes did. And the kid's 24 years old. Are you kidding me? Wow. Hugh Wong has contributed $2.50. He goes, put this towards your yacht. Okay, maybe I can get one of the letters for the name of the yacht. No, I think it's even more than that. Thank you. Bill Murray's Groundhog Day commercial for Jeep was okay. It was cute. It was refreshing to see Bill Murray not so grumpy. Did I say the San Francisco Giants? I do that. Used to be the San Francisco Giants. 49ers. It was a team. I'm not making it up. I swear there was a San Francisco Giants at some point in my life. But no, it's the 49ers. I'm sorry. I'm a nerd. What do you want? Do I look like a sports guy? Hashtag yacht fund. There's a cause. Because, you know, that's what a guy in Phoenix needs. I live in a desert. I should own a yacht. The 49ers choked. Well, specifically Garoppolo. Janine Garoppolo. He choked. He just didn't do well under pressure. That's what it appeared. But you know what? It was a great game. And I was so happy that the Patriots weren't in it for once. And you know what? It's been a long time. What, 50 years or something since Kansas won? Since Missouri won? So, yeah. Baseball is the Giants. Oh, well, see, there's a Giants. Yeah, if you're coming here for sports advice, you're in the wrong place. But it was a good game. Garoppolo. Yeah, I just keep thinking of Janine Garoppolo. Now I said it too many times. Chunkier Fish says, I got an interview at Best Buy. Are we moving on up or what? Right on. And Andrew reminds me it's been even longer since the Lions have been to a Super Bowl. Thank you. I needed that. Bring me down to earth. Robert Fitzpatrick has contributed $2 and says that's for your dinghy. Apparently we have a theme going. Do you like or watch NASCAR? I'm not a NASCAR fan. I like IndyCar racing. So the Indianapolis 500, the Belle Isle are typically 2 races I follow, only because Belle Isle happens the week after. But otherwise, I really don't follow racing at all. The kind of racing I enjoy is usually over pretty quick. Not that the Indy 500 is over quick, but you know, truck and tractor pulls, quarter-mile dragster, stuff like that. I'm into that. Monster trucks, smash, demolition derbies, yeah. There were no wardrobe malfunctions this year. Scythe Mugen 5 is $57, not $49. It should be about $48, $47 or $48. Let me take a look. the prices on Amazon do fluctuate. Remember, I did tell you guys to watch a couple of items, put them on your wish list, and watch how the prices move. But the Mugen 5's been pretty solid at 47 and change. Let me see if it's different for me or if they priced it up. Oh, it went up. Okay. So it's there at $60. What about Newegg? Usually what Amazon does, Newegg does, or it's the seller who's doing it. It may not be Amazon or Newegg. It may be the same seller. Yeah, it went up in both places. But it, even at $60, it's a bargain. And if you put it on a wish list and watch it, I suspect the price will go back to $47, $48. So depending on when people, you guys are watching the video live, the guys in the chat. Someone might be watching this video in 6 months and the price could be even less than 47. But I think $47, $48 is the normal price lately. So I don't know what's going on with that. Interesting that it's gone up 10 bucks, 12 bucks. But even still, you know, that's way cheaper than the $99 wanted for that Corsair cooler we talked about earlier. Jack wants to know if he missed an update on the studio. I don't have any update yet with regards to that. It's still an open opportunity that I'm waiting to hear back on. The person I'm working with is very, very busy. So I just told him to take his time. When he's ready, he'll let me know. He's got to get approval, and if he doesn't get the approval, it ain't going to happen. So I don't want him to rush it. €2 came in from God TM from Macedonia. Right on. Hey, welcome in. 847, yes, 847 people are watching live right now. Why don't you give me a shout out, let me know where in the world are you watching me from. Geo says, Scythe should give you a commission. Well, the bottom line is whether or not Scythe wants to sponsor me or make me an affiliate, I still use and recommend their products. I don't use or recommend them because they're sponsoring me or because of some affiliate that I'm going to profit every time you buy one. So at least now, anyway, that's not happening, and you know the motive behind my recommendations has nothing to do with money. It has to do with this is what I'm using for my customers. This is what I put my reputation on the line with these products that I use, and none of the products that I use are paying me. So look at all the world showing up here: Florida and the UK, New York and Ireland, Wisconsin and Michigan and Missouri and Argentina and Trinidad and Tobago. A lot of folks here from Michigan, Vermont, Ohio and Germany and Maine and Wales and Aberdeen, Scotland, Switzerland and Mississippi, Argentina, Germany. More folks from the UK, Fort Smith, Arkansas, the left coast, Oregon. Oregon doesn't have a right coast, does it? Chicago's in the house, and Seattle, Newfoundland, Canada, and we're watching, let's see, people. Scott Helen says, I'm watching from New Zealand. Mark Ludy is in Aberdeen, Scotland. And Jason Baum watches us in North Dakota. I never heard of that city. What is it? Cagliari, Italy. Never heard of it. Hiroshima, Japan. Newcastle in the UK. Colorado and Saudi Arabia, Denmark and Australia and Canada and Belgium and New Zealand, more in the UK and Australia. Very cool. Very, very cool. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. Viewer here in Bosnian and Herzegovina. Hold on, I got to say it right. Bosnian and Herzegovina. Herzegovina. Got to work on that geography, Carrie. Netherlands and San Diego, California. Corpus Christi, Texas. Welcome. Welcome in, everybody. Hey, thank you for letting me know where you're watching me from. And Hugh Wong has contributed $2.03 watching from California. Rudy wants to know what my opinion is on doing a budget build with a Ryzen 3 1200. I wouldn't do it. I think that you will regret it. It'll be a machine that goes obsolete far too quickly. You would, in my opinion, be better off buying a used computer that's 4 or 5 years old. Spend the same amount of money for something far more powerful. This whole idea of scraping the bottom of the barrel, trying to get away with the least you can get away with, is not a frame of mind or perspective that I can share with you. I think you're just hurting yourself. There is a mentality to people, and this is just something I've noticed a lot of, that people who don't have money often make some of the worst financial decisions I've ever seen. Recently in a Facebook post, somebody was complaining that Victoria's Secret raised the minimum payment to $35 if you have a balance $100 or less. And they said, you know, this is wrong, and they were complaining, and I said, hold on, wait a minute. The credit card company is requiring you to make a larger minimum payment. So that means you'll pay less interest. That's going to save you money. And if you can't scrape up $35 a month, maybe luxury shopping for lingerie isn't the best way to be spending your money. Maybe there's other things in your life that money could go towards for healthcare, dental work, glasses, I don't know, food, something. Put it in the bank and don't spend it. But I found it hard to believe that somebody said, well, I'm not going to shop there anymore because they made the minimum payment too high. So you're not going to shop there unless they charge you more. You understand that if the payment is lower, instead of paying back $100, you're going to pay back like $160. If the payment's like $12 a month, instead of paying it off in 3 months, now you're going to take 9 or 10 months to pay that off. And the amount of interest that you're going to pay may double whatever it was that you just bought. So that keeps poor people poor. When I say poor, I'm referring to people who don't have an extra $50 in the bank at all times, or $100. You should have $100 in your bank. If you don't, you should. My father would say, you're insane. You should have $100,000 in the bank before you go spending any money. I'm saying, you should have $100. If you can't scrape up $100, that it's got to be there and you got to spend it. This mentality of, let me buy the cheapest processor with the cheapest motherboard, it's just keeping you down. And if you like being down there, then don't let me get in your way. But I used to be down there. And I'm not all the way up here either. Don't get me wrong. I'm not rich. I'm far from that. But in between poor and rich is this great big area, giant area. And it's less stressful. Things just work better. You're not dealing with as many frustrations from flaky hardware or hard to configure hardware. You get good warranty, good support. And it may require you to sacrifice a little bit more, but it'll be totally worth it. And if you want it bad enough, you'll do it. There's nothing you can't do if you want to. So with regards to that, I can't support any Ryzen 3 or Core i3 build. The Nook I did was a Core i3 and it's still in use today. But if that was an i5 or an i7, it'd be even better today. I built that machine in 2013. It still works today. But at the same time, it's not used all the time. It's a little on the slow side. And it always was, to be quite honest. It's not like it got slower. It's just compared to using i5s and i7s or Ryzen 5s and Ryzen 7s or 9s, it's almost painful. So I would say your minimum should be somewhere in the middle. Start out with an i5 or a Ryzen 5, anywhere in there, and just forget the 3 series from Ryzen and Intel. They are, in my opinion, a horrible waste of money. I wouldn't do it. It'll bring you happiness for this much time, whereas a 5 or 7 or 9 will bring you happiness for that much time. And the difference in price is like that. So, return on investment is solid on an i5 or an i7 or Ryzen 5 or Ryzen 7. And if you can do the 9s, you're just buying more time for most of us. Those of us using it for work, they don't even look at price. They just go, you know what, I need that for work. Here's the money, put it in. We need it now so we can start making money. So, yeah, I don't get that. I don't get the idea of going through a scrapyard and buying a bunch of used crap and throwing it together and making it work. This is the mentality that will keep you down. If you like to be down, that's where you're comfortable, then keep doing that. But the minute you decide you deserve better than that, it's worth saving and sacrificing. You sell some stuff you don't want anymore, mow a few yards. You can earn the money, whatever you got to do, or you can be patient and it will pay off and you will not regret it. The other way around, you're more likely to regret that sooner. But, I don't know you. And if it's not something I would sell you as a customer, then I wouldn't advise it to you as a friend. That being said, do what you want to do. A couple other contributions that come in. W. Trexel's contributed $5. He goes, here's for Coke and a fur baby treat. Right on. Gary Tatum's contributed $20. He says, I took a day away from the M&M factory to get to relax with you in the community. Right on. Robert Fontaine has contributed $2 Canadian. Well, thanks to all you guys. Looks like Mitch has joined us. I see a lot of hi Mitches. Hello, Mitch, but I don't see Mitch. I guess he's in there. You're saying hello to him. Hi, Mitch. Did you tell Alan Parsons hi for me? Okay. It was not my intent to sit here and talk to you guys this whole time. I was actually going to do some work. So I've got a brand new CD, DVD reader writer here we're going to put in. It just takes a moment. And then we've got the Wi-Fi card. So this is my old Wi-Fi card. I used to use this in the streamer. And what was happening is my Wi-Fi is so freaking fast, I was going live without realizing I was wireless, and sometimes it would start to drop frames inside. Most of the time it worked fine, but I don't need it in there, and so I made a deal with Valentine. And so we're going to put that in there. And then, of course, the 980 Ti, which is still a great graphics card. Still a powerful card. Far more than Valentine will need for a while. So we're building a machine, once again, that isn't just meeting today's needs, but will continue to run fast and handle everything he throws at it for, at least the next... Well, I can't speak for the graphics card, but based on what he's using now, he should have no problems for 8 years minimum. The card is used, so it's possible, there could be a fan issue down the road. Anything that's a moving part is the first thing most likely to fail. And speaking of that, I will hook up the front fan because we will have a discrete graphics card in here, and I want air to blow over it to keep it nice and cool. But I want to say I put Windows 10 on this. I don't know that I activated it. It's been a while. When I have all these builds going on, it can be very confusing to think of what I did with one versus what I did with another. So bear with me. I will get it all figured out. I always do. But I may not know it live and unscripted, and that's okay. That's just me. Putting a lot on a plate. Oh, this is interesting. I pulled out the wrong. Silly me, I needed to pull out this secondary. The second and third, I don't know, I know better than that. I wasn't paying attention. This top one stays in. Now I am going to need to plug a SATA cable in now because that's going to block access to it for the optical drive. So I'll grab the SATA cables out of the bag here and we'll take out the right angled one. For the optical drive, and we'll put this other one back in the box for any future upgrade that Valentine may want to do to this machine. And I don't really need to hook it up to the optical drive, I just need to hook it up here to the SATA connection that's going to be covered up by the graphics card, and I'll deal with the rest of it later. So just thinking a little bit ahead this time. Again, one of the advantages of working with a lot of the same parts over and over is you get real familiar with them. And it can make you appear to be smarter, right? Because you're familiar with, well, you know, the Mugen 5, I can install that almost with my eyes closed. But, you know, the liquid coolers, I'm a little slower with. But if there was one that I use over and over again, like anything else, practice makes perfect. And people tend to relay that to intelligence or knowledge when, in fact, it's nothing more than experience. And the only way you get experience is by doing it. Like, it doesn't help somebody to get on a comment section and chastise them for not knowing how to. That doesn't make them know how to do it. You know what I mean? Like, ultimately, it's through the experience and it's through doing that you'll gain your skills. And so I never want to reach a point where I'm not learning anymore. When I put together a build that's super easy, it's pretty rewarding because it happens relatively quickly with very few incidents or misunderstandings. At the same time, if that's all I did, I'd get bored of it and I wouldn't want to do it anymore. Imagine playing a video game where you just have to walk the guy from the left side of the screen, and just walk him to the right side and you win. There's no obstacles, there's nothing to jump over, there's no boss to defeat. You're just literally pushing the joystick to the right for 8 seconds and you win. Does that sound like a game you'd want to play? So for me, I have a lot of fun doing this. And the fun is a mixture of overconfidence working with familiar hardware, and then humiliation when I'm, you know, struggling putting on brackets backwards and stuff with unfamiliar hardware. But the key is whether or not you see me make the same mistake twice. When that happens, then I'm not learning. And hopefully you're right along with me, learning with me. Now, George O. and I spoke quite a bit about the overestimation of needed power and how people are often buying power supplies way more powerful than they need. I can already hear people saying, that's only a 550 watt power supply with a 9700K and a 980 Ti. It's not enough power. It is more than enough power. This machine that this 980 Ti came out of had two 980 Ti's in SLI mode. But SLI mode is kind of a thing of the past now. Games just aren't supporting it, certainly not RTX games. And the games that do support it often have like really weird issues, glitches and drop frames, and all kinds of weirdness happens. So it's like you're paying twice as much money to get more frustrated. So it's mostly died off, and so they're still selling motherboards that'll say, you know, they support SLI and Crossfire, but very few people use it anymore. Well, let me rephrase. Very few people are building machines that have that. I mean, if you've already got one, then you've got it. But chances are you're probably turning SLI or Crossfire off when you're gaming. There might be a game that you play with it on, but for the most part, most modern games don't support it at all, and those that do, it's pretty flaky. So it's sort of a thing of the past. If you were thinking about it, you've missed the boat. Okay, so that's the graphics card, the DVD. Let me put the Wi-Fi card in now. Let's go. Where do I want to put this? Second from the bottom looks good to me. And you can add any Wi-Fi. I'm sorry, you can add Wi-Fi to any computer. If it's a desktop computer and you've got a spare slot, you can certainly do that. You could also add it via USB. So when people ask, how do I add Wi-Fi to my computer? You can always add USB Wi-Fi to any computer or laptop at any time. Sometimes, like a client will call me and say, hey, the Wi-Fi on my laptop stopped working. What would you charge to fix that? And I'm like, don't pay anybody to fix it. Go to the store, buy a $20 USB Wi-Fi adapter and plug it in and save yourself time and money. Because repairing it will cost a lot more. And while you're at it, go ahead and get yourself a good one. Get one that has higher bandwidth. Okay, so that is all there. Let's fire this thing up. Make sure I haven't broken anything. Let's make sure the graphics card works okay. So I'm going to need an HDMI cable, which I have right over here. And we'll plug that into your monitors there at home. And I need a power cable and a keyboard and a mouse. So that's all I use when I test fire systems. I don't hook up anything USB. I don't hook up any internet. Leave it all bare so that if things don't start, you have fewer things to diagnose. I had previously turned on the machine with the built-in graphics, so now we're going to do it with the graphics card and the Wi-Fi card. The optical drive is not hooked up, so if this doesn't work, it means it has to do with the graphics card or the Wi-Fi card, because it worked before I added those two things. Do you understand how the diagnostic will be simpler? And chances are it's going to work just fine. But just in case it doesn't, I've set myself up for a very quick diagnostic procedure. And then I've got to hook up that front fan still. I'll probably run it down here on the bottom. That's super easy, and I can do that when I do the cable management. And these cables, what I do on the Corsair 200Rs, I'll take the spare cables. Of course, one of these has to go to the optical drive. But I will just run a nylon zip tie. There's holes on the bottom of the case, and I'll zip tie them right to the bottom so you can't see them. And it keeps the back of the case with fewer cables, which makes the panel easier to take on and remove, to put on and take off. Apparently, take on is how my brain put that together more efficiently. All right, let's go to, are these on? Let's go to camera 2. What's actually technically input 2. There we go. So now it says no signal, but you should still be able to hear me. I'm going to hit the power button here. Graphics card is lit up. The fans are turning. And hopefully, yep, there it is. Everything looks good. I'm going to need to install the NVIDIA driver. It should also, I'm probably going to need the drivers for the Wi-Fi. Let's see. I'm trying to remember if I activated this. Oh, I didn't plug the keyboard and mouse in. Let me plug the USB in there. There it is. Is this activated? No, I haven't activated it yet. I notice some people will blur out the product ID, but that's not a product key. That's the identification for Windows 10 Pro. Everybody should pretty much have the same product ID. Anyway, okay, but it is 32 gigs of RAM. Hold on. And it doesn't say so much usable anymore, because that means it's not using the onboard. It's automatically disabled that. Core i7 9700K, that all looks good. What about here? Does it load the Wi-Fi automatically? No, I will need to install the driver manually. That's fine. I think what I'm going to do is run an Ethernet cable, and I think Windows Update will grab that Wi-Fi driver if I allow it. Otherwise, I have to go to asus.com and grab it. But either way, in order to do that, I need an Ethernet connection to get on the internet. So now that everything's booting, I'm going to plug it into the network, and that way we can grab the video driver. Okay, there's one end of it. there's the other end. Okay. Now in theory, I should be able to go to Windows Update. There it goes. And hopefully it will see the drivers needed for the graphics card and the Wi-Fi adapter. And the system remains dead silent, which again is very important. Though I suspect when we really start working that graphics card, it'll make some, the graphics card fans will make some noise. So it's .NET Framework, malicious software, cumulative update. There's the NVIDIA display. Nothing on the Wi-Fi though. Interesting. Well, we'll let that download. It just takes a moment. SK Silva says, I've reported Carrie for stealing my monitor. I'm just borrowing it. I'm going to give it right back. Don't have to be so selfish. What about chipset drivers? Those are going to download automatically, Brian, through Windows Update. Intel works with Microsoft to ensure that you don't have to get them from Intel anymore. Can't say the same for AMD, but with Intel, it's all automated. What video output do you use? Chunkier Fish wants to know. I use HDMI every chance I can get. I really like HDMI. I have not run into any monitors yet that use DisplayPort. So I have seen a couple of computers, some of those Dell Optiplexes, those off-lease ones have DisplayPort out, but I adapt it to HDMI. And let me see if I can keep myself on screen while this is happening. That way you guys won't be so confused. Some of you anyway. Yes, it looks like a new NVIDIA driver was released recently. I'm getting the notification here on the streamer. I should probably download that too while I'm waiting. I have to find the right mouse. There it is. Doesn't really make any difference for what I'm doing. I just hate the idea that I'm out of date. It's more of an OCD issue than it is anything else. Version 442.19 released today. There you go. And I'll wait till I'm off broadcasting. But I've downloaded it and it'll just wait for me to install later. Is a 144 hertz monitor worth it? Well, you certainly are going to need a graphics card that can output at 144. It depends. You know, some people see a difference and some people don't. You should probably look at somebody else's computer that's running 144 hertz and put something on it that you're familiar with so you'll know the difference. And if you don't see a difference, then you're wasting your money. And if you are seeing a difference, then ask yourself, is that difference worth the extra cost of the monitor and the graphics card, assuming you don't have at least like a 1660 or something like that. I think that's the minimum. I could be wrong. But you're looking around a $300 price tag minimum to do 144 hertz from a GPU. Man, I am so happy with how quiet this machine is. It's really quiet. Both the fans on the video card currently are not turning. They will turn on when they're needed. Chunkier Fish says, I think the jump from 60 hertz to 144 is worth it. the jump to 240 as a cache sync. Yeah, well, again, it's sort of like talking about food preferences, Somebody might think it's worth it to pay extra for Kobe beef or something, and somebody else may be like, it tastes the same to me. It is something you sort of have to experience and decide on your own. I don't think anybody can really guide you on that unless they know you really well, or you share similar feelings towards, things you see or hear are very similar to somebody else you might know. But to strangers on the internet, am I going to like the fish of the day? I don't know you. I don't know. It's kind of the same thing. Carl says he's got a 144 hertz monitor, but he only runs it at 120. He doesn't game, and he's very happy with it. So that's what I'm talking about. It's really an individual thing, and there's no right or wrong there. It's just something you have to, am I going to like this? Well, you're going to have to try it. There are people in the world that don't like bacon. No, it seems, and coffee. I'm not a coffee drinker. I don't like coffee. You talk to some people like, oh my God, how can you not like coffee? It's the greatest thing. They tell that to me about cheesecake. Ugh, you guys can have it. Is it worth it to buy the $8 cheesecake? You're asking the wrong guy. Because the answer is always going to be no, as far as I'm concerned, at any price. I won't like it for $5. I won't like it for $25. I won't like it for $2,500. Is the PC going to be used for gaming? No. This is an older gentleman who fought in Vietnam, and he's into like ham radio operations, so he's going to actually use both network cards. One network card works as a ham radio, the other network card connects him to the network, and he does some educational technical translation. And these files are a combination of pictures and video and directions, and they're huge files, and they're bogging down the machine he's got now. But I think this machine will handle that kind of stuff with ease. I'm not exactly sure what the file extension is, but it's something used in education. And there's a couple other things he mentioned to use the computer for that were pretty minor things like Excel or some basic accounting. So it won't have any issue there. In fact, the computer he's got now probably handles that stuff just fine. And there was something, I think it was the editing of those technical files that are just this combined video, pictures, and documentation, that his computer was struggling with opening those. That once they were open, he could work within them, but he had to wait while it did it. So this one, I think, will just fly right through it. I think he's going to be very, very happy with it. But he's not gaming at all with it. I think you'll find many people, not universal, of course, but many people who've actually been in war have no desire to play war on the computer. There are those people out there that are the soldiers of fortune, kind of mercenary people that enjoy killing other people in real life. I've run into a few of them. One of my customers would brag about how many confirmed kills he had as a helicopter pilot in Vietnam. He bragged about it. He was very proud of the number of people he murdered. Okay, I mean, I suppose I'd rather he was happy about it than suffered through PTSD and guilt. But at the same time, most of the people I run into that have actually fought in a real war don't see any fun in playing games like Call of Duty, or Counter-Strike or any of that. I know Counter-Strike's an old game, but it's still going strong. That's the reason I mentioned. I'm trying to think of some of the battlefields and things like that. And I totally get it. It doesn't work that way across the board. I know a lot of airline pilots that really enjoy flight simulator programs. So just because you've done something for real doesn't mean you want to not do it in the game. But this is particularly interesting, I find, because of the massive disconnect. Firing a gun in a game is nothing like firing a gun in real life. It's nothing like it. And the weight of it, just carrying a gun for 20 minutes, a long gun, a rifle, it starts to get heavy real quick, let alone the ammunition. and then the concussion, the recoil, and the sheer veracity of the explosion when you pull the trigger, it just isn't in the game. It's just not there. So there's a numbness to it that makes it almost cartoony, and perhaps brings back memories of things you don't want to remember, you know. So no, he is, and there's other games besides that, but I mean, you know, he's not into first-person shooters. At least to the best of my knowledge. I think we talked about that. And you know, we're very lucky to live in a country with people that would volunteer themselves to be tormented for the rest of their life with physical and mental issues, potentially from having volunteered to defend their country. And it takes a special kind of person, and we all owe them, all of us, our thanks. So, in our deepest gratitude. And if I can do anything within my means to help those people out, they take a higher up priority than anybody else, for obvious reasons. Because I didn't do it, right? I don't even want to go to boot camp. It requires discipline. No, thank you. So hats off. Pretty cool, the Super Bowl, they had those guys that were 100 years old, 4 of them from different wars, and the colonel presented the coin, that was really neat. Imagine telling that guy when he was 50, in another 50 years, he'll be center stage at the Super Bowl, handing them the coin to start the game. And at 50, he would have said, I'll be dead by then. Wrong. I thought that was really cool that they did that. Jay Tony says, I'm a Desert Storm veteran. I have no interest in war games, but give me a sword, a lantern, and put me in a dungeon and I'm happy. Yeah, well, you're a nerd, Jay. Gary Gygax would be very proud of you. All right, so that completes all of our updates. Now, I don't know what version of NVIDIA driver I got just now, but I suspect it's not going to be the one from today. So let's grab that real quick. Oh, I got to change this too. Did I type it wrong? Yeah, my screen is too small and these contacts are hurting my eyes. I'm supposed to take them out at 5. So we're going to have to wrap this up here pretty quick so I can jab my fingers in my eyeballs because, you know, that's perfectly natural. Okay, product type, Titan. Yeah, that's what you should default to because that's what everybody has. This is a GTX 900 series. Oops. .980 Ti, game ready driver, or the studio driver. We'll do the game ready driver and search file size temporarily unavailable. Okay, whatever. So we're going to grab that here real quick. My fast internet is working well today. 530 megabytes rounded down. Crazy. And we'll hit run. Chunkier Fish says, you're a bigger man than me for being able to get the contacts onto the eyeball. Oh, I sat there for a half an hour today and was about ready to give up. I'm like, the contacts are too big. My eyes are too small. It ain't going to fit. The lady at the eye doctor was very patient with me. I would probably be going, just put it in your eye. Just stick it. Stop being so careful. Just jam it in there. They see people put contacts in their eyes and they're just like, no big deal. It's a pretty big deal. I don't know if I'm going to get used to it or not, but I thought I'd give it a shot because my eyes are getting worse. And it's mostly like reading. So they made one eye magnified and one eye not. And so I get distance, though I don't really need distance. It's just a very minor correction. And then in the other eye reading, and then your brain will automatically use whatever eye is the working eye, which makes sense to me. I mean, that's the theory behind it. I once was at an eye doctor, and he said, read the eye chart, cover your left eye, and then I read it, and he goes, now cover your right eye and read the eye chart. And I could tell the eye chart was a bit fuzzy. And he said, your left eye is worse than your right eye. And I said, yeah, I know that. And he goes, well, how come you didn't do anything about it? And I'm like, well, when do I ever look at anything with just my left eye? When does that ever? The only time I've ever done that is when I'm here doing this. Like in everyday life, the other eye compensates. It doesn't hold me down. It doesn't hold me back. I don't even realize anything's wrong. But yes, if I close one eye and I'm trying to read an eye chart, it's a little more difficult with that eye. And if I close the other eye, but why would I do that? They work together. So we're trying it. We'll see if it works. But I didn't want them both to be the same. Catherine Anna Hauserman is a name in blue you'll recognize in the chat room, and she will make you a parts list. If you're looking to do a build and you're on a budget, let Catherine put a parts list together for you. She'll do it for free. She just say thank you to her, She enjoys doing it, and she won't judge your build. She won't say, hey, I wouldn't build that. I don't think she will. I would. I'll tell you I wouldn't support it. I wouldn't build it because I wouldn't want to support it. But I'm sure if you've got like $400 to spend, she could probably slap something together for you. Even though it's nothing I would recommend, doesn't mean that it's bad. It just means that, like, I can't make any money on a $400 computer. And furthermore, I don't think I'm going to have a happy customer, which is even worse. So what you want to do for yourself, it's ultimately got to fit your needs and your budget. And Catherine can help you with that at any budget. She really can. All right, do I have a Wi-Fi driver now? I just unplugged my Ethernet to see. No? So apparently I can't even get this. So ASUS is not working with Microsoft on this. That's a shame. So I'm going to have to search for it and grab it off ASUS's website. So this is ASUS or ASUS. What is it, a PC88U or something like that? PCE88U? Can't remember. It's like my favorite Wi-Fi card ever. Okay, my screen is too small again, so let me make it big again. I can see. Support. Drivers and tools. Select your operating system, Windows 10, 64-bit. Driver release date of April 13th, 2018. That sounds pretty new. We'll save that. Open it. Driver setup. I probably have to extract this first. Let's extract all. There, now let's install it. Should be a setup in here somewhere. There it is. English, yep. I can close all this now. I'm done with it. And we'll wait for that driver to finish installing. Now I should be, let's see, what does this want now? Yeah, no. Now let me unplug the Ethernet cable and I should see Wi-Fi stuff. Yay, that's the way it's supposed to be. Okay, so that's all good. That's what I really just wanted to get done today. Everything else is cable management, hooking up the DVD drive. These antennas, what's interesting about this Wi-Fi adapter here is these antennas, hold on, let me go full screen on this so you can see me better. These antennas come off, and the base has the same connectors as the card, so you can put the antennas directly on the back of the card if you want to. I like the base because it allows you to move the antennas around. You don't have to worry about, a lot of people put their computer on the floor, and if you push this up against the wall, you'll bash up against the antennas, and the computer acts as a barrier to getting the signal through. So this is a magnetic base, so it'll actually just lock on to anything metal and grab onto it. And then it's got the 4 antennas, and it's backwards compatible with the slowest, oldest router imaginable, but it's also forward compatible with today's modern routers with regards to getting speeds of up to, what was I getting? 1.3 gigabits a second. It was pretty fast. And granted, it's rated as higher than wired, but there's a lot of overhead and parity and distance, and that's all going to affect your transfer speeds. But it was pretty darn close to wired speeds. So I'm very, very happy. It's a $100 Wi-Fi card, and it's well worth it. Not aware of any other Wi-Fi card that's that versatile. And, it's got a good manufacturer with a good warranty on it. All right, that's going to wrap it up for today, I think, because I'm just running out of time. I wanted to run some tests. You know what? Let me do that. Let's do a video test on it. I got to at least do that, right? Let me plug my USB in here, and let's take a look at. Hold on a second. There, I can see now. Okay, we want PC testing software. I always do the Heaven benchmark. Let's go ahead and do that again. That's good. We'll do the 64-bit one. These are prerequisites that Heaven benchmark requires to run the Visual C++ compiler. Then there's the Heaven product right there. And let's give her a shot here. In fact, I better turn my camera on so I don't get people flagging my video. And we'll just put this, wrong one, Gary. I always do this. Gotta grab the right one, and then I can minimize it. See how this bad boy runs. F9, I think, starts the test. There we go. And I think I need to minimize this screen a little bit because I know my logo covers up that right corner where they're displaying all that info. So let's see if I can just bring this up a little so you can see it better. So any final questions you have for today, I'd be happy to address those. And we're going to wrap it up for today. 894 people are watching. I'm so glad you guys are joining me today and decided to hang out with me in the old kitchen. And I can see Sharon Idle's on top of the game. See, mods, that's how you do it right there, Sharon. Beautifully handled. Thank you. Bear Paws contributed 2 pounds and said, will the Mugen 5 be okay for an i9 9900 KS? If you're not overclocking it, sure. Yeah. What is the difference between 32-bit and 64-bit? It enables far more resources available for your software to run, which ultimately equals performance. So 32-bit is old, 64-bit is new, newer is better, and everything changes exponentially. So it's not like 64-bit's twice as good, it's 32 times better. So it enables far more resources. You cannot have more than 4 gigs of RAM recognizable in any 32-bit operating system, whether that's Linux or Mac or Windows. 32-bit addition, if you take 32, well, I'm sorry, if you take the number 2 and put it to the power of 32, in other words, that means you multiply 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, do that 32 times, you'll find your memory limitation is represented in that final number of a little over 4 million or 4 megabytes. Now do 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, 64 times, and you'll see your memory, available possible memory that you can have is more than twice, quite a bit more. So it's exponential. And 64-bit is where we're at currently in the evolution of computers. When I started with computers, they were 8-bit. And then with the 286 and 386, we went to 16-bit, and then 486, I believe, introduced 32-bit. And then eventually we got to 64-bit. And you can just look up 8-bit games on YouTube to take a look at what 8-bit graphics and 8-bit text looks like on the screen. And then, of course, take a look at 64-bit, and along with the amount of things that can be running simultaneously with that many more resources available. Computers are far more capable, much faster. Carrie, have you ever fixed a Linux computer system? No, Linux users usually fix their own computers. So that's not really a sustainable business to work on anything that's free. People don't like to pay for things that are free. It's kind of funny that way. Sharon Idle says the Commodore PET I started with is a 4-bit. Was the Commodore PET 4-bit? I had a Commodore PET in computers class in high school in 1982. It was one of the first machines I coded on with the built-in cassette deck, or cassette tape with the, that's how you saved your programs. There's our final numbers right there. The Heaven benchmark has run flawlessly, of course, looking at 194.7 average frames per second, a score of 4904. And of course, the minimum frames we hit was 9.5, the maximum frames was 387.5, and then our system specs follow there below. So it's still a very viable graphics card, the 980 Ti. And I think Valentine's going to be very happy with the system. What I've got to do now is, the buttoning up, cleaning it up, doing the cable management, plugging in the DVD drive, activating Windows. That's stuff I can do off camera later in the evening and put my headphones in and just enjoy that tedious work. And then hopefully be able to get this out to Valentine here very, very soon. And then a gentleman named Frank is waiting on his build to get started, and I hope to start his, if I can get this one finished up tonight, I can start Frank's tomorrow, will be a new build. And then I have two Michaels, Michael B and Michael S, and I need to work on their systems, and then I need to get back on Xenos and the 3950X. I'm not quite sure what order I'm going to do that in yet. But that, again, for people, it gives you a little bit of a taste of sort of how busy I am and how I have to juggle different projects and revisit. But that's what the final editing is for. That's what normally was done before I was going live. This sort of thing was happening all the time, but I was pre-recording everything and then editing it and releasing it all in one video. And as a result, sometimes there was a month where only one video got posted. It's a lot of work to edit that because I was doing everything myself. I spent 3 hours editing the technical support scam video, or the latest scam video. I brought it down to 11 minutes. That took me 3 hours. to bring it down from, well, it wasn't very long before, I think it was 45 minutes, and I brought it down to 11 minutes. And it took me 3 hours to do that. And that's 3 hours I'm not building, it's 3 hours I'm not upgrading, it's 3 hours I'm not repairing. And that's on top of the edits my sister's doing at the same time on other projects. So editing is a real pain in the butt. But it is a necessary evil. It does result in, obviously, overall, presenting the entire build from start to finish without interruptions, without this dialogue, gets just straight to the build and minimizes that time to an hour and a half typically on a build. It's critical. It's absolutely critical to show both sides of it so you can see the behind the scenes. By joining me now, you get a taste of how this process works. Then, of course, seeing the final edit. Now, if I had the budget to hire camera people and full-time editors, then we can hit the levels of some of the tech enthusiast channels that are, hawking products all day long. But I'll get there. I think I'll eventually get one of those projects done, but doing it all by myself it's far too much. I've tried, Mitch and I have a build we started the October before last, and it's very slow. And that video is 90% complete, but I still have to piece it all together like a puzzle and then release it. And then by the time you guys get it, you'll say, well, why are these parts so old? Why did you use Ryzen the last generation? Well, it wasn't last generation when I did it. Movies, when you sit down in a movie theater, those often are 2 or 3 years in production. So, and then when you count the number of people in the credits, it's well over typically 1,000 people that are listed in the credits of any major motion picture release. That's a lot of payroll, But be that as it may, we'll get there for certain projects, for sure, special occasions. But at least this way you get both sides of the coin. You're not just seeing the polished, finished. You'll see, what it took, the original footage. You can compare it to how it was edited. Sometimes in edits we even move the timeline around a little bit if it makes more sense. But whatever, that's just Hollywood. That's how it's done. And if you really, a good taste of that is, I'll go back to that Jason Momoa commercial on Super Bowl, because that's green screen effect to the best ability. I mean, it's just very well done and very believable. So with that, thank you guys so much for joining me today. And let's give a shout out again to everybody who's contributed during today's live stream. So, sorry, I just see Marty Yoel has just contributed $5. He says, how are you, Carrie and chat? Good, Marty, thank you. Hope you're doing well. Tim Curtis contributed $5 He says, thank you for the videos, Carrie. I found you in 2013 when you taught me to build my first PC. I've probably built 20 systems since for myself and friends. That's awesome. And Marty contributed $20. Hey, thank you, Marty. Mark Y contributed $2. He said, I'm super late today, but thank you, Uncle Carrie. Hey, thanks, Mark. Winston Liu contributed $2 Canadian. Ryan Grady contributed $2. He says, thanks for the stream. Now off to the trenches. All right. And Bear Paw contributed £2. Tony Wallow, $1.99. Mr. Zargon 28 contributed $5 Canadian. He says, I love the coffee grinder build. Sorry, no hate. That's how I see it. No, it's fine. Being playful is fine. Robert Fontaine has contributed $2 Canadian. Gary Tatum contributed $20. W. Trexel contributed $5. And Bear Paw again with £2. Hugh Wong again with $2. God TM with €2 from Macedonia. Robert Fitzpatrick and Hugh Wong and David Kelly Parent. Matt Power. Denny Naranjo has contributed $2 and says thanks for the birthday message yesterday. Very cool. Thank you to Michael Martin and Darren Cluth. Rick Lakes and Mike Gordon. Sharon Idle, not to be confused with Billy Idol or Sharon Osbourne. Right, Sharon? That's right, Ozzy. Carrie. Wilhelm Gordon, Antonia Oliva, Rick Hubbard, Tony Wello again, Brendan Looney. I love this name, Kaka Pepe. This is the stupidest name. Is that your real name? You made fun of my real name. Kaka Pepe is my name. I'm sorry, Kaka Pepe. Danny Naranjo has contributed again. I think it's Naranjo. I don't think it's Naranjo. Try these jalapenos. That's another Super Bowl joke. Rick and Morty Pringles commercial. Yay, another stream, he says, and thanks for the birthday message. Oh, was that a repeat already, or what happened there? Did he do it twice? No, he did it twice. Cool. Well, thank you. I don't know how I missed your contributions twice. That's weird. My apologies. Geo Johnson has contributed as well, and Nighthawk, Jason Baum, ANSPC Repair, Art Awesome, Irving T, Steven Spencer, and Jesse E. Kirk, Chester Hughes, Paul, I missed the 80s, Ryan Grady, and Bo Hagren. Guys, you are helping keep me sponsor free, and you are basically paving the way for everybody else. So I hope those of you, you should say thank you to these folks, because they're enabling me to make more videos more often. And if you're here and you enjoy them, I understand some people are in a position more so to give than others, but we can all say thank you. And thanks you guys for hanging in there and participating in the chat room and being kind and supportive, not only to me, but to each other, which is its own reward, I assure you. And that's going to wrap it up for me for today. I will see you all back again tomorrow, where I will plan on having this done, and I'll give you sort of the final, we'll put it on the table, rotate it around with all the cable management. We'll run Prime 95 on it one more time with the covers on it, just to see what it does. And then, if time willing, I can start the next build. If I end up talking to you guys back and forth, that's fine too. I'll start the next build on Wednesday. That's my plan for right now. And then in the evening, after I'm done, that's usually when I ship out to FedEx. I go after rush hour. And that should be that. So my thanks for tuning in. I hope I'll see you all tomorrow afternoon. I'll get an earlier start tomorrow. Thank you for watching, and I'm still looking for my outro. There it is. Until then, bye for now.